Ready to learn how to use Google Bard for your business? Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, I've been focused a lot on how to use ChatGPT for your business, whether it's for your marketing, your operations, for your sales, everything else. But I wanted to also cover Google Bard. And it's honestly mostly because I've been using it more than ChatGPT nowadays for a lot of reasons that I'll go through in this video. Now, first thing is I'll go over the basics of Google Bard. Now, it was launched just last year, and like I said, I've been using it more than ChatGPT nowadays, but I wanted to show you, just in case you have not used it before, how it looks like. So when you go in, you basically see this very much also kind of a little bit with ChatGPT where they had like the examples. The cool thing that I like with it is then you can kind of just see, I like these. I like basically the ones where they highlight what you can use it for. So you can logo guide, travel destinations, you can change, gaming podcast tagline, reflector code, explaining Java code if you're into that, product description. So it already shows you the different prompts that you can use. So it's a little bit like Google is basically kind of training you how to use it in the first place, which is really cool. Like you're seeing how like first description, a little bit of the details of it, and then what it can act as. So on ChatGPT, one of my favorite things to do when I'm starting a prompt basically on ChatGPT is using the WOW method. What the WOW method basically is first introducing who you are, what you do. O is the outcome basically you want from ChatGPT or Bard. A is just asking it, are you ready? And H is the how. So as an example, let me post on here. So what I want ChatGPT to know. So I am, what I do, type of client, introduction to the business. The how is I need it to be in this format, and then the prompt basically afterwards. So very similar to the product description prompt here. So let me delete that, click on the product description one. So it's still who you are, outcome that you need, and then basically how you want Bard to respond to it. So it's very similar to that. I saw that the other day. I'm like, oh, that's very similar to the WOW method that was already created. So that's basically a little bit of just on the face of Bard. So one of the things you want to go into is go to extensions basically, and you want to make sure some of the ones that you want to turn on is turned on. So Google Flights, Google Hotels if you want to. You can turn off Google Hotels for now. Google Maps, Google Workspace, and YouTube. So the enabling basically Google Workspace makes it easier for you to search your files, which I'll talk about later. And of course, YouTube is just a pretty cool plugin because then you can ask it to grab basically the videos that you want, summaries for, so on and so forth. Next is then you have these here. So like I said, I've used this for months and months and months. I probably have so many threads basically on here with Bard. And the cool thing that I just figured out the other day was like you can actually pin things that you would use a lot. So for example, for me, I'm getting advice on my website here for 2XU. Here is the book that I'm writing, and then here is for a personal operating system I'm creating for myself. So these are basically just different threads I've used, but I liked that you can pin because I can't do that on ChatGPT and I lose important threads that I want to use recurringly versus the one-off threads. So it's kind of the basics a little bit for Bard. Other things is you can use, use dark theme on here. I like the responding in real time instead of, once complete. And then your public links is just on there. So whenever you share your links to people, you can see what it is and you can remove access for other people as well. And if you do want to figure out like how to share, it's right here. Basically open up the prompt and you can share, export to Google Docs, or draft it actually in Gmail. So that's some of just the basic cool features of Bard. Now let's actually get into it. A couple of other cool things that I like with Bard is you can chat Google. So I think of it as like, I'm on Slack channel and I can chat different people. So I can chat YouTube, for example, and paste in the link of a YouTube video that I want summarized. I can chat Google Docs and find files that I want. I can chat Google Flights, so on and so forth. Basically, the extensions that you have turned on, you can chat them. So you can basically activate that extension and put in your prompt. So basically now, how do you actually use Bard on your business? Well, the first thing is just being able to get information. The cool thing about Bard is basically it can look things up on the internet. So if you're trying to get info, if you're trying to get a good summary of updated information versus ChatGPT where it's a little bit just delayed, you can straight up just ask Bard. So for example, can you give me a list of all the countries that are about to have their elections? I'm using this because I just had a conversation with a friend about how there's a lot of elections going on for 2024. So let's see how Bard reacts to that one. So I did have to tweak a little bit the prompt. So you can use the edit, by the way, on Bard as well. So here it already just looked up. And again, this is the most recent information that I can get versus again ChatGPT who can't do that. So I can just find the list here. I can ask it, can you just grab me the list and dates in table formats? So by just doing that, I can grab more and more information. I can ask Bard more information about this if I wanted to dive into it. So in your business, of course, you can use this for a lot of different things you need to research, for the things that you need to know. You can use it for doing competitor research. You can use it for getting a list of basically the main people to contact if you're trying to research for different businesses for lead generation. It's just generally just getting updated information that's on the internet. Next is there's a really cool tool that I was just discovering the other day, which is it has an image reader. So as an example, I click on new chat again. I'll click search new image. So it can actually do an image search of what's inside of it. So for example, can you give me the color palette for this photo? And you can basically just ask it any question about that at all. You can ask it like, hey, can you describe this photo for me? Can you give me a description that I can give to someone who's trying to recreate this photo? It could almost be anything, but it basically can scan images, which is really cool because you can't do that with ChatGPT. And again, it can give me a pretty good, even just like blue, white, black, orange, gray. This is just a color palette. I can make it more specific of, can you give me the color code? This is me kind of experimenting if it can give the color code to that point. But let's say that you're working with a graphic artist and you just need basically the color code for the color palette for a brand or a social media post you want to put up, then you can use Bard to be able to get it. So, oh, it actually did it. So it got most of it right. So the blue is kind of the typical blue, white, orange. So it's not super accurate just yet, but it's good enough versus like not having this as a tool at all. So again, you can use the image reader for a lot of different things, such as like grabbing text even. So as an example, I'm using this image, grab the text from this image, and it'll basically read that and hopefully be able to grab the text basically that we have on there. So if you just need things taken off, so for example for this one, it took it in a very crude way, but it's basically just grabbing the information that was on that image. So again, it's just a really cool way to be able to grab information off of images. You can just use the upload. Again, you can ask it to even describe what's on the image, so on and so forth. Next is you can use Bard, of course, to create asset drafts. Now what I mean by this is anytime that you're trying to create an asset for your business or for marketing, you can of course use Bard for this. So as an example, let's click new chat. Let's go ahead and type in what would be a lead gen asset I could create for a virtual assistant agency. So this is me outright just asking it what asset I can create, and then from there I could even add in more prompts of, can you give me a draft, so on and so forth. It'll generate more and more examples for you. It can be as detailed and basically like, hey, infographic example, the productivity powerhouse, how a virtual assistant can boost your business, and has visuals, has text, additional tips. Can you write this up as an email I can send to a graphic artist? So then it will actually just do that. Then you can easily just grab basically the text from here, or of course you also have the option to be able to draft it as an email if you are using Gmail, which is pretty cool. On here, on share and export, you can draft it in Gmail, and then of course you can send it off to your graphic artist. So this is just one of the cool ways that you can create assets very, very quickly inside of Bard. Next is you can use it to analyze copy/file. So what copy is, basically marketing copy that you might have just written up. So one of the ways that I like to do this is I will just go ahead and, can you give me feedback on the copy for this website? So I'll ask it basically to access a website and give me feedback on how good the copy is. You can also do the same thing if you have Bard basically on Google Docs and you wanted to look up basically one of your files and give you feedback on that. So this is the cool thing of like, this article or website is basically from 2XU, you know, they're co-founders basically. This is what they do. Here are, you know, some tips on how to be able to have the copy be a little bit better. So you can ask it to give you, if you have like your landing page or your web page, you can ask Bard to give you basically just really good feedback on how you can do it better. One thing that I do like using Bard for is, let's say you have the title for one of the docs that you have. So can you give me feedback on improving this doc? So now it's going into Google Workspace basically to find the doc that has that as a title. So I made it kind of a little bit hard. I didn't just put it in the link. But because of that, it's already giving me ways that I can improve basically for that document basically. So even though technically Bard can't read PDF, you can't upload PDFs on it, but if you have things on Google Docs, or if you even have it on Google Drive, like as a PDF on Google Drive, it can look it up and still give you feedback on it, which is honestly pretty cool. Next is then you can also ask it to summarize files and articles that you might have. So same thing is you can put in the link directly onto Bard or ask it to look up one of the documents that you might have. So for example, let's say you're going over a report and you just want the summarized version of a report that you were just given. You can ask Bard to do the same. You can use either the direct link basically and put it into Bard, or do what I just did where I just searched the name of the file that I want them to view and it would just look it up just like that. Next is, of course, you can use Bard when it comes to creating plans. So what I mean by this is if you're trying to strategize and create some sort of timeline, for example, because of course you can also use Bard when it comes to breaking down projects. I would just do it this way. So I'll put a new chat. So here I said we are currently creating a course on how to hire and train a VA who uses AI. Can you write up a timeline, list of outcomes or tasks, and suggest a project management template that we can use? The aim is to finish the course within a month. So with this, you are creating slowly that plan within Bard and also asking it to break down a project based on the outcomes and tasks that are expected in it. So here, because we asked it for a timeline, it gave me like week 1 is like planning and research, content creation, 6 to 7 is expert collaboration, week 2 is more content production, platform and template setup, content integration editing. So it will walk you through step by step the different things you can do, and of course the outcomes and tasks that will be listed on there. Because again, we asked it for it, it gave us like project management templates that you can use, so you can literally from scratch have your assistant, if you have a virtual assistant, or your project manager to be able to break down a really big project and simplify it just by using Bard. Next thing that you can use Bard for is to generate spreadsheets. So for example, the one that we used earlier of the list basically of elections that are coming this year, you can even scroll down to this and you export it to sheets, and you can do this with most data. So for example, can you create a list of pros and cons of the top AI tools in a table format? So basically I changed it a little bit of like be more specific of the top AI tools for writing copy in a table format. I can export this to sheets, which then it will start creating a spreadsheet that I can now share with people, modify, make it my own. And of course, as a little bonus, you can also use Bard to be able to come up with formulas they can use on Google Sheets. I also like that it does give you the resources of where it got the information from, which is a cool little thing. So let's go ahead and open Sheets on here. And yeah, so basically we have the tool, pros and cons of it, and what works. So there's just a cool little thing that you can do if you just want to create a sheet. You can also do this where you can have Bard generate templates for you for your business. So you can ask it for basically any template that you want. You can ask it, hey, can you create a Google Doc template on a to-do list? Can you create a Google Doc template for a proposal or for a portfolio? So whatever that looks like, whatever it is that you need, you can generate a lot of those templates using Bard. And of course, the classic use for Bard that I've been using honestly is for writing emails, especially difficult emails. So in any time that I want to try to articulate really well something I want to send to someone and I can't find the right words, I will just crudely describe it to Bard and Bard comes up with the email for me. And then of course I can click that share to draft to Gmail feature very, very smoothly and be able to just send that person that email that I really wanted to send. Now, a key thing though is anytime that you're using any AI is always use it as a first draft. It should never be the final thing that you submit to business partners, you send to employees, you send to anyone. Always try to customize it as much as possible to what makes sense for you and your voice. As cool as tools like ChatGPT, Bard, all of the other AI tools that are coming out, it's always good to practice them wisely and not to, of course, abuse them and have everyone think that it's you when it's actually not you. And if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what are the ways that you've used Bard. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day and that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!